I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's working? Okay. I have no idea. So now I've got to retell you the story. Anyway, yeah, we were in Townsville today because we had to take Mikro in to get his checkup. Naturally, the checkup costs us like quite a bit. Even wasn't part of the original consult. And all is good. He's doing very well. He's like 95% better than he was 6 weeks ago or whatever. But there's still more work to be done. So, yeah, we still got to give him more meds and stuff like that. So, yeah, whatever. But, so we're back home and the air conditioner's not working in the car, of course. So, and even though it's winter, it was still very difficult and hot. So we get home, we're just starting to relax, and darling Loki comes in and throws a snake in the lounge room. Just throws it down on the ground. And of course, poor old Alita's there, and I just hear this heart-wrenching cry. And I totally get it, because I mean, you got to appreciate what we've been through lately, and the PTSD is just through the roof. Or rather, it's just more like, it's not, it's current. And anyway, so we call up our usual clinic after hours. They don't respond. Apparently they're on a Christmas party. So they've got the wrong recording on. And we don't know what the hell's going on. So I end up, after a bit, calling the other clinic, which is fine. I know the people down there too. And, we go down. I go down and get him checked out. Long story short, he's okay. Seems like he didn't get bitten. But you got to appreciate the insanity of the situation we're in at the moment. It just seems like some evil force sets its way against us. It kind of, the Lord of the Rings stuff. I just don't get what's going on, because it's ridiculous. This is like 3 months now, and we just keep getting stuff happening. And I mean, we've had the yard is in better condition than it's ever been in. The house is too. The fencing's better. We're keeping it more contained than ever before. And so what the hell is going on? It's mad. It's just insane. Yeah, all you can do is laugh, because quite frankly, if you don't laugh, you just probably, the alternative is not very good. And I don't know why the audio didn't work earlier. Anyway, I'm glad it's back now. This is the same headset that we had crackling away the other night. I've managed to fix it. It was, wow, this feels like it's got something else in it. Yeah, one thing after another. It's just a little bit ridiculous. Why can I not get a visual on what's going on here? And it's wearing thin. It's really wearing thin. And quite frankly, while the financial side is definitely not great, as in you're spending a crap ton of money, it's the psychological stress. The stress, and then the impact on the fur kids. They're starting to feel it. We had to actually stop giving Mikro his liver meds and stuff like that for a few days, because he was getting to the point where he would be running away from the insulin injections, which obviously we cannot afford to have happen. Now, anyway, so we're 95% of the way there with Mikro. We've got some more work to do with him. But at least that's manageable. But this whole fact that we can't even trust anything in the yard, it's very difficult. Because believe me, these cats do not believe in being indoors all their lives. Short of basically having a glass and cement yard, I don't know what else we can do. Yeah, the universe is being a bit of a real Richard Cranium right now. And like I said, it's, yeah, the financial bit hurts, but yeah, that's life. But it's the psychological aspect that's really hurting. Hey Ben, different kinds of heaters I found. These are just like silicon matte ones, so they don't tend to. I don't know what's going on down here, by the way. This is not separating like it should. It's not that I'm worried about breaking it. It's I'm worried about damaging any flexes. As for the 2338, that ended up being the secure element chip that was a problem, at least for the initial part of it. And then, what was the other problem? Oh yeah, the Thunderbolt ROM was corrupt. And I think what happened is in their attempts to get the machine up and running, they're probably like, put it in, they probably did all sorts of things. And it corrupted the Thunderbolt ROMs. So yeah, sorry if I'm taking my time here. I don't really want even more drama on my head tonight. Hey Rilla. Hey Colonels. Oh, fortunately, he's good, but he's in trouble. Yeah, this is taking way too long. I don't understand what's happening here. I'm visually not seeing something. So we'll work on the other side. And then I had a 2441 2141 come in, and it had a burned up VREG and 4 ohms on the NAND rail. Now, any of you who have worked on those machines know that you see 4 ohms on the NAND rail and you see a burnt VREG. That's pretty much, that's the end of the road. But I took and this is an important thing to know, I took the VREG off just to check, and lo and behold, the NAND rail came back up all good. So that was a freakishly lucky one. I immediately backed it up too for that. Wasn't going to take any chances with that. Man, this has been a right difficult. I kind of wonder if this has had another screen on it before. The glue just feels a little bit funny. I mean, it could just be me. Probably is just me. I think I'll just apply some hot air here. A nice, calm 150, thank you very much. I don't feel like burning the damn screen again. Hey, laptop. You know how much I love burning these screens. Yeah, Keith McDermott, that's pretty much about it, yeah. But it's just been absolutely bonkers. We had plans, most of you would have heard I had plans to build a night pen, and we were trying to save up about $10,000 for the night pen. That's gone. Gone. Gone ski. Kind of makes me thankful that I didn't already call the guy in to get quotes or anything, because he'd be going, well, you guys want to go ahead or what? And I'll be like, yeah, well, about that. Don't think it's happening anymore. So it's kind of weird. We've been extremely unlucky in terms of a lot of things are happening, but extremely lucky in terms of the outcomes. Like, we've been having very fortunate outcomes. Like, Loki got suitable treatment for the brown snake bite. Mikro wasn't bile duct blockage. It was, liver, what do you call it? Gallstones. We've had events happening, but the outcome has been in our favour. Understandably, we'd just rather the events not happen in the first place. And for the last, 15, 20 years, it's been good and fine. Clearly we upset somebody. Oh, Paul, no, don't you worry about that. You have done so much and contributed so much. You and people like Jim and, in fact, everybody that has. I'm not saying all this for people to feel sorry for me or anything like that. Please don't feel sorry for me. It's just more a chance for me to vent about how truly exasperated I feel about the chain of events. Yeah, it's like that show, Series of Unfortunate Events. Must be Jim Carrey's fault. Or Doogie Howser. Hey, Direct System. Hey, Swindon. This is why you live where the air hurts your face. Hey, Horst. Yeah, and that's the fun thing too. We're in winter. Well, we call it winter. I wouldn't call it winter. I don't understand what's going on with the adhesive here. It feels kind of like it's got a rock hardness about it, which is a little odd. And you're a good person too, Paul, so maybe you can find, there must be other people you can help too. I'm very happy to accept your contributions. I just don't want people to feel like they're somehow guilted into it or socially obligated into it or anything like that. It's just a good opportunity for me to be able to say, hey, I'm having a rough day. And thank you for being here while I make $50 on an iPad replacement. Hey, Sutterbridge. Because I know there's no shortage of people on things like YouTube and whatever who will do their absolute utmost to spin a story. Like, they'll stub their toe and they will spin it that they have to go get some kind of $50,000 surgery to fix their toe. Stuff like that. They put up a Patreon and all that sort of jazz. So I'm not into that. Yeah, really, it really is feeling like that. It's like there isn't a lot more that we can do. At this point, we're just simply rolling the dice every day. I mean, understandably, we don't like doing that. Normally when you do this with the iPads, it splits that foam. Is it not splitting that foam? Hey, Oscar W. Yes, they're a necessary evil. If you want to have any kind of supplementary income. That was particularly more difficult to disassemble than I would expect. On the upside, while we were in Townsville today, we went to Officeworks and I bought myself a whiteboard, which is behind me. It's a nice metal-backed one, as opposed to a nickel-back one. But nickelback's cool too, but metalback is what I got. It's kind of like a crossover between Nickelback and Metallica. Hey Tesla, Apple, bring on the Carrington event. Oh God, no. I like my internet and I like being able to call people when I need them. Do not need a Carrington 2. Oh, Mycosis is against the Nickelback. Don't you know hating Nickelback isn't cool anymore? Early 2000s, want your hate back. Never made it as a wise man. Yep, too right. The moment feels like this is how you remind me. Let's see if this lifts up. Really, basically, the fundamental issue is that we're exposed to nature. It's as simple as that. We live in a rural area. We have a massive field next to us, a very grassy tree field with a lot of very interesting wildlife, and I love that field. And even though we have the big colour-bond fence and all sorts of other things, the problem, funnily enough, does seem to be, at least for some of the snakes, not the field side. It's actually the suburbia side, particularly with things like brown snakes. Because the brown snakes are after rats and stuff, mice, rodents, all that kind of thing. And they exist amongst all the trash that tends to build up in suburbia. Now, to be fair, the Carpentaria snake it's a nocturnal snake, by the way. It only comes out at night. And it's really only interested in lizards and frogs. Wow. Everything about this iPad is just really stuck on. Anyway, the Carpentaria snake, it tends to just live in logs and just stuff lying around. Okay, I've got a slight problem here in the sense that I can't lift it up because the screen... This is fun. The way the screen has broken, at the very edge here, it's sort of broken and it's still laying against, the digitizer, and it's laying against the screen. So I can't pull the screen up because I will then drag it across the broken glass. How'd the snake get through? Oh, well, there's a heap of, the fence is porous. For all intents and purposes, the fence is porous, and you really can't fix that. Even a colour-bond fenced all the way to the ground and things like that, there is a certain amount you can do, but ultimately there's always a gap. When you think about it, you've got gates or any sort of imperfection, ground washing away somewhere, anything. So trying to create an impervious fence, particularly on the half acre that we have, which needs about 400 meters of fencing, it's just not going to happen. So hence we built the inner enclosures. I wonder if Mo's going to start yowling at me any second now. I've just got a feeling that Milo's going to chuck a fit again, because he hasn't seen me most of the day. And while he's happy at the moment, running around, sooner or later he's going to realise he hasn't seen Daddy much. Anyway, I guess the point is, no matter how much you work on that fence, there will still be a way. Now, we've reduced the risk significantly, but it's still not enough. Well, I should say you just can't make it 100%. And I think we've done a pretty good job over the years of catching when these scenarios do occur. Because obviously, we did the other week when we got Loki down to the clinic, got him his anti-venom. But you do constantly worry about that time that you don't notice. Yeah, this is a real messy one today. This iPad has not come cleanly to the party. Your dad lost a bull to the brown snake and Melu and lost more cattle to the... Oh, yeah, Teresa, yeah. I see that weather system down there is pretty damn nasty. Hey, Ronnie White, how's the weather in Townsville? It was perfectly nice weather, but it wasn't so crash hot for driving on the highway. Not to mention, you would think city folks would know how to drive. Horrendous. I don't know what it was about today, but they were just terrible. And to add insult to injury, finally after maybe 10 years, 15 years of Elita not having had KFC, we go to get KFC and we order hot and spicy, 2 pieces, and regular 1. 5 minutes waiting for the order, they come back to us, we don't have any hot and spicy. You're going to have to wait 20 minutes for that. And it's like, bloody hell, all these years. And anyway, it tasted crap. we threw most of it out. I don't know whether we're just older and grumpier, but it really wasn't that pleasant at all, which is why I generally like hot and spicy, because it tends to taste better. Original recipe is just crap, which is why they run out of hot and spicy and they've only got original left. Hey, Bogdan from London. Wait, what? You're about to hit the bed in London? What? Like, middle of the day. Oh yeah, Devon Curry. Oh, yeah. I miss Bunny Chow. It was always good driving back from Durban. Back up home to, well, for me it was Centurion. Up in the Veld, or Highveld. Well, I've got to say the Drakensberg was more impressive. I mean, right now the Drakensberg would be probably pretty nice. Freezing cold, but it would be very nice. Yes, they use spice to cover the crimes. But that's okay. I'm willing to accept that level of ignorance for now. Anyway, what can I say? It was shite. It was shite, and the seagulls had a good portion of it instead. Bit disappointing. I mean, how the hell do you run out of hot and spicy? And this is an established store that's been there for quite a period of time. I don't know how their schedule was botched up like that. And it was 11 o'clock in the morning. And the place was... Oh, actually, no, it was 11:30. So, oh, right, you work at nights. Fair enough, then. Well, that makes perfectly good sense. Legitimately does. No sarcasm at all there, to be honest. Fix for you, Inda. You recently purchased Flexboard View. Yeah, I see every license that comes across the table. Yeah, exactly. It's like Nando's running out of peri peri sauce. I mean, if that happened, there'd be a lot of toy toying going on at that store. A lot of toy toying. And then a few people would probably get blixened. Oh, they did have hot and spicy. It just wouldn't be ready for 20 minutes. And I mean, in the fast food, what is this like? McDonald's ice cream machine? Yeah, I was complaining about the glue. This glue is really weird. Running out of properly calibrated fuses. That's a cracker. Ronnie White, this is just a kitchen mat. Yeah, kitchen silicon baking mat. But you got to get the ones with the fiberglass in them. If you get the pure silicon ones, they will just buckle up. But if you get the fiberglass ones, they don't bobble up or anything like that. Because I did get some blue, red, and grey ones and tried them. It's useless, just useless. Because you'd be trying to focus on getting a chip up or a part down or something like that, and the heat will then make the whole board lift up because of the buckling. And it can ruin the job sometimes. Bogdan, that's what the free one's there for. You know, if people are doing it as a hobby, casually, just trying to check it out, that's why we've got the free version. Alright, that took way too long, and I haven't actually properly cleaned it yet. I've still got to go over the alcohol. Yeah. Actually, this is going to need 80-20 alcohol. There's too much mud grit, things like that in it. I can feel as I wipe it that it is water-soluble trash. So we'll get rid of the water-soluble trash, and then we can come back over with the more pure alcohol, and that will then pick up the rest of the adhesive. Yeah, nicely heated tool for I think the biggest problem I have with the iPads when it comes to cleaning up the junk is trying to avoid nicking the metal too much. And no sooner do you get the angle just right, you usually chip your blade. So I guess I really need a blade that is perhaps a little more durable. Like most of the blades that I have, they're very prone to, they got a high sharpness, but naturally they're, as a consequence, brittle. Well, I'll always be happy to take people's money for a license of Flexboard View. I've got a pretty big update coming out, but the sad thing is, most people won't even notice the difference. I'll probably get complaints about it more than I get compliments. But it's a significant upgrade internally, particularly with the T-Bow view stuff. Things like Lenovo board views and graphics card board views and things like that. A lot of them are in T-Bow view. That's the TVW file format. A big upgrade on that. And don't catch the battery on the blade. That's always a very handy thing, yeah. Okay, see now you can tell that you're cleaning with pure alcohol and you're getting pretty close to... When you get the squeaks, you're doing something right. Oops, if you push too hard and you break it, you push too hard. Hey there, Dean. I can never get the adhesive properly off the top because it's on plastic, so you can't put the blade into it because you'll just gouge the plastic. Oops. So I just have to leave it be. Now, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, we've got to deal with the corners here. We've got an impacted corner here. And if I don't carve it out, it will push the glass up. This one's okay. This one's also a bit of a train wreck. Three corners are beaten up here. Wait, what's this Paul Howe saying something about the bank? Mr. Howe. Everybody needs to thank Mr. Paul Howe, who just contributed another 100 towards things that he isn't specifically the greatest fan of, but he still helps us out. So that's really very noble of Mr. Paul Howe. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much. Honestly, I'm going to have to drop a ton into a nice golden plaque or something to represent everything you've done. Thank you, Paul. Okay, someone's actually been here before. I wonder if it was me. It doesn't make sense, though. The reason why it does make sense is there's none of my usual markings on this board. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have to carve that down a bit. This is why, if you can avoid it, don't do iPads. As you can see, the amount of time I'm having to spend on this and for the money I'm getting out of it, it's not a good ratio. Hey, want to make? What did you miss? A whole lot of stuff. It's not severely... In fact, actually, if anything, it was an optical illusion. There's a little bit of rise on the right where you can see the fatigue cracks in the corner. Okay, let's first try to clear that out. Hopefully we haven't lost audio. Please tell me we still have audio. I do wish that the YouTube app, the thing I use to watch the stats of YouTube, I do wish it would have like a VU meter or something like that, just to help out. A wood chisel, yeah, might do. A bit hard to get them at that sort of size. Okay, so yes, I am actually carving into the metal here with my X-Acto blade. Trying to face it down a little bit. Okay, we still have audio, that's good. I wasn't sure because this is the first time I've used the microscope tonight after the modifications that I've made. Also, in a bit of future protection, I did go onto eBay and I found another one of these headset units. Supposedly never used, just opened the box to check it and that was it. And they were selling that for 55 Australian, so I actually picked that up. And if it does work, then that's good. I saved myself effectively about $140 and got a new one, which means I'll then have this one as a fail-safe backup. Alright, at this point I actually need to go back to using a file. Just going to pick the appropriate profile. You don't really get a lot of filing action with this, even though it's pretty small, but it does at least work as a kind of coarse blade, as it were, a very durable coarse blade, and it chews away at the metal fairly well. Certainly more robust than one of those blades. You know, it's not going to snap on me or anything. I'll try my luck with that. Yeah, the teeny tiny poles up there from the other night. And I haven't bothered to retract it back. I had to do that so I was able to get audio from the facing cam. Is this shrink when coming of age? Okay, I'll look out for that. Oops, better put my files back. This is one of the rare cases where a cheap set of tools actually end up being quite useful. I think I've had these about 15 years now. It is kind of funny how cheap tools of the past end up being of superior quality than the cheap tools of now. I suppose maybe that's not so funny. I guess just shrinkflation type behaviors. What am I looking for? Oh, by the way, I bought a new pink pen. So this is the new one. The old one's finally ran out. But this one here, it's the same stuff, but it's more like a 0.7mm nib. So, see how that one goes. Yeah, comparison. Big difference. Right, yeah, I'm looking for my spudger. I got my blade, tweezers, plastic spud. Oh, it's right there. Sorry, I've got a cough. Yeah, I think this has just had a rough life, but it's still the original setup. Just a rough life. Get off. By the way, this is going to be a white replacement because I do not have any blacks in stock, but that's okay because the white display with the black button is actually fairly popular. That gives it that Oreo look. Tag in the supermarket. Oh man. See people tagging the local MBN green fiber to the node. Yeah. People going around tagging stuff. So seriously. Oh well. Okay, I'll try and lift this from its base. Yep, looks like the adhesive stayed on there. You gotta be real careful with these flexes. They got some nasty traps and you can end up tearing the flex and then it's downhill from there. Alright, so that's good. We'll just wash the top again. Yeah, if those cheap needle files, I couldn't find anything else at the time. I thought, well, I think they're maybe $5 for the set, and they've done really well. Okay, time to set up the replacement. Hey, Jean-Marc. Okay, this is definitely an iPad 9. Set up our anti-idiot system, or at least attempted anti-idiot system. Looks like I'm going to have to separate the plastic spacer because I want to keep the white one. Okie dokie. I haven't found a VU meter for Chrome YouTube. Yeah, it's kind of sort of thing you would expect, because obviously when you're monitoring, you're looking at the output that you're generating. It'd be nice to actually see whether the audio is coming out. Maybe they expect that you got some sort of feedback built in, but not all of us do. I need something visual. I just realised I need to slice the adhesive off those pads. Now I know everybody mocks my hot glue. Whoops. And I respect that, because if you don't take this adhesive off, this little sticker stuff, when you put the hot glue on it, it won't hold properly. Most of the iPad digitizer kits that I get, they do actually come with a replacement striker bar like this, but I prefer not to replace them. It's okay, you can lose the paint. It's not an issue. Hey, Mark Linnell. Hey, Gary Hampson. Alright, so let's try our luck in getting the adhesive to stay on the, what do you call it, on the soft part. Oh, there's a hole in it. That's not good. We'll continue, as long as that hole doesn't get any bigger. Okay, that's good. And where's my forbidden stick? I have a little forbidden stick, at least according to the technicians. Ah, there it is. There. Soren's the only one who can appreciate this. Hey MacBook Fixer, how's it going there? Did you fix any today? Let's see, 150 is usually more than enough to get this started. Yep, that's where we're at. $19.89 giving you a headache, Nan Shorted. Is that a headache or just a... Isn't that really just a bin job at that case? Or are you really trying hard to return it as a functioning machine? I think a lot comes down to your demographics as well. Like in some countries, like here in Australia, very quick to toss out machines once they hit the NAND failure or something like that, or there's liquid damage. It's just like, yeah, just get rid of them. Whereas I know other places, say South Africa, India, Brazil, places like that, they're like, well, no, let's actually try and save this. Bin job, so it is. Okay, my dimple alignment is good. Okay, what are you? Oh, you're on the outside. Okay. In fact, you're not even part of the... I think it must be in the home button. Yeah, it was the home button protector. So much for that. Alright, now comes the fun part. I guess what you have to look at when you're comparing to places like that where they rewind motors and fix liquid damage and all that is what is the amount of work that they're doing to earn, say, a meal. Like for me, I probably have to earn $20-30 for a meal in terms of, you know, I'm making the meal myself. Like say I buy chicken and rice or something like that. Yeah, that's $20 for 2 people, roughly. And so I guess what I'm saying is like that sort of comparison I find a little bit more realistic than dollar value or hour rate value. It's like, okay, what does that amount of work earn you in terms of your living capacity? Like if you do 3 motor rewinds for the day, is that covered your requirements? Like if I do 3 phone screens a day, that covers my requirements. But for me, that puts me at around about $300 a day. Yep, here we go, is not being able to stick the frickin' connectors on properly again. Aha. Okay, that's what you want to hear, that nice click. So average salary in Greece is €1,300. Is that per week, month, day? No, wouldn't be a day, surely not. Can't imagine that. A month. Okay, so €1,300, say, I think it's about 2,000 Australian. So it's not entirely dissimilar. Like I may, let's see, 12. I'd say probably I turn about twice as much of that in terms of actual profit. And I'm considered to be sort of like low income status, hilariously. Like I occasionally push into the next bracket on the tax scale. In terms of gross, well, that's a much bigger, well, not much bigger, but that's a somewhat bigger number. On the upside, I don't end up paying that much tax, but to be fair, people complain about paying a lot of tax, but realistically, as long as you're living within your means, then the opportunity to pay more tax, if it's being presented, means you must be doing better. You're doing all right. I know I was very confused as a kid when my father, well, people would talk about this 47 cents in the dollar business, which is, the maximum taxing rate in Australia. But what they conveniently forget to tell you is that that's only for money that is above the actual threshold. So for the rest, there's stratas. So you get 18,500 tax free, and then for every dollar over 18 and a bit up to I think about 28.35 or something like that, you pay 19 cents in the dollar, and then anything above that you pay, and so on and so forth till you get to the highest threshold. And every dollar you earn above that highest threshold, you pay 47 cents in the dollar. But people would project it as if it was 47 cents in the dollar for every dollar that you earn. And so you would get this misconception that if you earned too much, you would end up, in terms of gross, you would end up with less, because all of a sudden now you're getting taxed 47 cents for every dollar, as opposed to before where you might have been able to be taxed 35. And that leads to a lot of people not aspiring to try and do better, because they're fearing that if they do, they're going to get less money. I think it's a horrible misconception, because a lot of people just stay below the radar because they're worried they're going to get less money than for the extra work. It's wrong. You still have to pay GST. I actually don't mind GST, to be honest. I know. I thought that was one of the better financial policies brought in, because prior to I forgot to put this in, so I need to put that back in. Prior to GST, if you worked in sales and you wanted to work out how much tax to apply to a particular sale, it was a freaking nightmare. You had these books, the thick books of tax rates, and you had to go through and you had to find out the pro rata amount to charge for any given computer assembly you made. So there was a different tax rate for the case, there was a different tax rate for the electronics, there was a different tax rate for the power supply, and you had to go through and you had to calculate it all manually. Now it's just a case of 10%, great, we're done. And believe me, it is much better overall. Hey, nuts and proud. I haven't seen you in a while. What you been up to? I mean, you can discuss the merits of whether it's a good, bad tax. I think 10% is reasonably good overall. I think pushing it up higher would be a bit of a problem. I mean, yeah, consumption tax does unfairly target people at the lower strata because most of their income is spent on consumption, buying food and stuff like that. So in terms of their actual overall income, the GST hits harder. Yeah, they're effectively paying more. But I think the problem is that if you go trying to find a perfect tax system, you're never going to get there. I think compared to what we did have before, it's a better system that we have, and I feel like we can compensate for that disproportionality in other ways. Because overall, it definitely made doing sales tax and a lot of other things a lot easier. VAT is 20%, so that's a bit rough in my opinion. Yeah. I think income tax is definitely something that Australia needs to work on, but we haven't had a government that's willing to really bite the bullet on that. I think the fact that we have these fixed strata layers, levels, thresholds is a problem because as inflation occurs, effectively your higher tax rates slide down into the people in the lower income brackets. They can change it, but the trouble is it's just one of those things where even if it's a good idea, I can guarantee you that the opposition party at the time will spew blood and guts to say it's not. No matter what. Even if they themselves also believe it, we have a problem in society where opposition always opposes now, as opposed to opposition tries to present a better option or, anything. It's not even about, it's just team sport now. It doesn't matter what your team really is fighting for. It's like, you pick that team, well, you got to root for them. No matter what. And I think that's the problem. We need to get rid of this whole team concept with regards to politics and parties. It may as well be half of Australia decides they like the Eels and the other half like the Crows. And it doesn't matter whether they're good or bad at the game they play. It's irrelevant. You pick your team, you support your team to the death, and that's a problem. People don't look at policies. Alright, so this is now where the anti-idiot system kicks in. And it's not the pumping compressor that is the anti-idiot system. Yeah, let's hope and pray we do not end up with too many dots and splotches. The screen is ever so slightly damaged, and that is because of the fact that junk was getting in while it was broken. Well, Daniel, it's happening everywhere. The whole pick a team and die with it kind of thing. And it's a problem because people are not taking the time to look at policies and go, you know what, that's a good policy. I wish we could vote on a more policy-based system. I would like to see this policy enacted, but you're never going to get that. Well, I don't see how. The only way you could do that is if you end up with a single-party state. And if they feel like they're being generous, they'll let you vote on policies which they will subsequently ignore. I don't know how to fix it. I don't propose any sort of solution to any of it. It's just, you can see the mess there, but trying to fix the mess is a whole different ballgame. And I am in no way qualified to be able to make suggestions in that regard. Yeah, we've either got, both parties have bad policies, both parties have good policies, or, usually when they get into opposition, it becomes, as you said, no policies, and they're just like, our policy is whatever their policy isn't. No, it's okay, MacBook Fixer. It's a good topic, and like I said, it applies to every party pretty much. Okay, well, let's see if this actually works with touch. Kiki, yeah, it's a cheaper way of doing things, but yeah. Okay. I don't know their passcode, so unfortunately this is going to have to, let's see. No, can't do anything. Oh well. Let's clamp it up and get it off the bench. Will replace screens on a Pixel 7 Pro. Don't know anything about that. Have you seen an increase in homelessness where you are? It's difficult to say. Maybe there's an increase in awareness. I'm not sure if there's actually an increase in actual numbers or proportion, percentage proportion. Homelessness here in this particular town, you don't really see much of it on the street. Like I know when I was over in other countries, like particularly like South Africa, it was everywhere. And obviously America, a lot of places it's everywhere. Here in this town we live a pretty quiet sort of life. A lot of the homeless people probably collectively live in like down by the rivers and things like that. Certainly not through their own want a lot of the time. At least the nice thing about this particular area is that the weather is mild, predominantly mild throughout the year. Yeah, a lot of people living in cars, living in tents. Like they'll go down to the river down here, I'm pretty sure. I know I've seen a few posts about that. And sometimes it can slip by you because a lot of them will have things like they'll have a cell phone, and why not? And you won't realise that they're homeless because they'll be posting on social media, things like that, and you're not even aware of it. As far as I understand, the big drug problem we have in this town apparently is meth. I don't know how true that is. I smell plenty of pot around the place, but yeah, that's not a problem. Alcohol's always a bit of a problem. But supposedly meth is a real issue in this town, but I don't know. I don't really interact much with that. And maybe some people I know have, but it's certainly not obvious to me. Meth is everywhere. Crazy how cheap that is to get. You can blame Walter White for that. Sorry, Heisenberg. He told everyone how to make that stuff. All right. What's the time? Okay, look, I think, even though we haven't done any MacBook stuff, I'm sorry about that. I think I'm done for the night. I'll go do some programming. Just reading the chat at the moment. Vegas has close to 1% homelessness. I saw a couple of shows on Vegas homelessness. It's pretty rough stuff. People living in the culverts and all the waterways and stuff like that. That is not a nice way to be. And the trouble is, not specifically homelessness, but the trouble with life is if you drop below a certain threshold of success, then it is immensely more difficult to get back above it. And you can just see that happen with basic things like, say you have a bank account, and if you miss a couple of payments or something like that, then you get hit with fees which you very much cannot afford to be hit with. And it just starts accumulating. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of it's a problem. So how do you help people get above that threshold, keep them above that threshold, when they're constantly being beaten down by the fact that they're not above the threshold, if you know what I mean? Because they can't get above that, they can't buy things in bulk, they can't get discounts, they get more penalty fees. Yeah, everything is vastly more expensive when you can't afford what it is that you need. Brief Mikro update. Okay, the situation with Mikro, he went in today for his ultrasound and check. They're very happy with him. 95% better. He himself, just looking at him, he runs around, is so much better. We do still have to continue on with the treatment, the biliaric acid to continue to dissolve more stones, and the liver support tablets just to boost up the health of the liver, just keep it happy. Of course, we have the complicating factor that he is diabetic, and we're theorizing that because he's diabetic, there's more bacteria in his gallbladder, which is then subsequently creating more stones. So that's about the summary of it. Yeah. I'm more watching the MotoGP. It was nice to see Marc Marquez come back after all of his dramas and injuries, really. I think the last person that I've seen injured that badly overall in Formula One was Mikro back in the two-stroke era. And he was seriously messed up. And he was a brilliant rider. He didn't have a lot of character in his riding, but he was just fantastic to watch. Even in the wet, I was forever stunned about how stable he looked in the wet. Normally when I watch MotoGP races in the wet, I crush my chair with my butt cheeks from just clenching, because I've been a rider in the rain and I know how terrifying it is. And watching them most of the time, I just chew up the chair. But watching Mick doing, it was kind of relaxing. The guy was brilliant at riding in the wet, in spite of all of his injuries and having to have the modified brake for his thumb and stuff like that. So yeah, Marc Marquez seems to be another person that's been beaten to hell and coming back very nicely. This will probably go down badly, but I wasn't really the greatest fan of no, I can't remember his 43. Why have I got a blank on the other dude? He's Isle of Man. Oh geez, yeah. Love watching it, but terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Why can't I remember the other big champion dude? No, Casey Stoner was also brilliant. He got smart though, I'll give you that. Casey got smart. He won his world champions, he proved how good he was, and then he realized that he found the right time to get out for the right reasons. So, yes, Rossi, that was it. Yeah, not the greatest fan of Rossi. In terms of technical, yeah, brilliant, but I don't know, I'd never quite resonated with Rossi. Something about him that... But that's just me, yeah. And I know there's probably people who feel that way about Marc Marquez, or people like, Wayne Gardner. Wayne Gardner was a true sort of crazy dude in the way he rode, but he did so much for the Australian acceptance of MotoGP. Barry Sheene, he was another brilliant one. I've actually met Barry Sheene, not for long, but perfectly nice guy, and it was just nice to say hello to a real, MotoGP person. Well, it wasn't really MotoGP back then, was it? Isle of Man sidecars. Motorbikes are crazy. Sidecars are just insane. And you see those guys hanging off the side. I love watching it, but yeah, I couldn't do it anymore. So, all right, I am out of here. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Appreciate that. Got me through that iPad repair. And I will see you on the next one. And hopefully next time I'll get the audio right first. Anyway, I'll see you all later. Thank you. Take care.